Hello, staff. Today I will discuss theories on how our students, especially our multilanguage learners, acquire language. So before I begin, let's go over our overview. In this presentation, I will provide 3 different language acquisition theories. I will then summarize these theories and provide a lesson you can implement in your class tomorrow. It is important to note that just like we teach our students different strategies to solve math problems, using multiple theories in the classroom ensures that our multilanguage learners learn English in the needs that fits best for them. So let's just jump in. The first theory I would like to address is Vygotsky's social cultural theory of language acquisition. According to Vygotsky, there is an important relationship between thought and language. He notes that a child first uses language for social interaction, but at some point, the language goes underground and becomes the structure for the child's thinking. Therefore, language is critical for cognitive development and individuals must use cognitive skills in a social environment. Quote, the teacher's role is to identify the student's current mode of representation and then, through good discourse, questioning, or learning stations, provoke the student to move forward in thinking, end quote, by Nash 2010. Therefore, the social interaction of language is critical for acquisition and learning for our multilanguage learners. So, a lesson you can do in your classroom tomorrow is called image inquiry. In this activity, you will have students do a gallery walk of printed images from a picture book you have yet to read. Students will be paired during the gallery walk with a trusted peer so that they would feel comfortable and confident sharing their ideas with this peer. Students will walk around the room and discuss what they notice and or wonder about the story due to the pictures they are viewing. You can take it even a step further by having students write on a sticky note or poster paper their noticings and wonderings. This is helpful for multilanguage learners because they can speak their ideas to their peers, and if they are not comfortable writing the English language, their peers can scribe for them. And this is a beautiful way for students to start to inquire about books and to think cognitively about what may happen in the story based off of the images. So we are moving on to our next theory, which is Krashen's language acquisition theory. And it is way more in depth than Vygotsky's theory because it contains 5 parts. And those 5 parts are the language acquisition learning, the monitor, hypothesis, the input hypothesis, the effective filter hypothesis, and the natural order hypothesis. Krashen suggests that it is essential for educators to have knowledge of these 5 theory stages so that they can best teach their multilanguage learners. One of the stages may include a silent period where students are not comfortable speaking in their second language, but they can understand it. In this period, they may respond by pointing or gesturing. In the first stage, the student can develop up to 500 words just in that silent period alone. As the stages progress, they develop their language skills. And it is important to note the main idea of these stages in Krashen's theory is that language acquisition is not so much as memorization, but is more acquired through interacting with students and teachers while in social situations where they will pick up the new language. Students may be able to form sentences to ask for what they need, and Krashen's critical fifth theory, the affective filter stage, states that language is acquired more quickly when the student feels less stressed, confident, and motivated. So how are we going to have our students feel this way? Well, the next slide in our lesson is called the sentence small group lesson. And in this lesson, students learn how to construct simple sentences using nouns and verbs, or the subject part of the sentence and the predicate part of the sentence. This lesson correlates with Krashen's language acquisition theory because as students acquire more language, they can start to decipher between nouns and verbs through their speech and gain that confidence. Educators can then use these skills to aid students in constructing simple sentences. In the sentence small group activity, the teacher would run a small group of about 5 students. The educator will then provide each student with an image of people doing something. For example, you could have a teacher with 3 students reading a book in the library. In the small group, you would use gestures to review what nouns are and then proceed to identify the people and the objects in the image. So, some hand gestures that you can use are pointing to yourself for nouns are people, places, or things, so that they can use that kinesthetic gesturing in addition to knowing, okay, what are nouns? When you discuss verbs, you have to think, is it a physical action or is it a mental action? So those are some gestures that you can use to help you. Once you have labeled the image with the nouns, students can then orally start constructing sentences. They will choose a noun and have to describe what the noun is doing and if it's a physical or mental action. And you can provide your students with flashcards to help them recall certain verbs to help them if they need that aid. So the teacher would then write the sentence the small group came up with on a poster paper. And it's important to separate the subject and the predicate with different colors. So writing the noun portion of the sentence in one color, such as blue, and the predicate part of a sentence or the verb part of the sentence in red. And this just helps them visually see the difference between the subject and the predicate part of a simple sentence. So, an example, if we look on my slideshow, there are children and there are stars. And so we could construct the sentence that the children are dancing. But the thing about this activity is that it's wonderful because you can make it more advanced for students and you can require them to add a preposition. So for example, in this case on my slideshow, the children are dancing under the stars. And again, the predicate part, the preposition part of the sentence, under the stars, would be, again, in a different color, let's say purple. Students will then need to also write and record the sentences that the group comes up with and brainstorms at the end, so that not only are they orally telling you the sentence and practicing the sentence, but then they're also physically writing and practicing the sentence that way. All right, moving right along. The last theory we will discuss today is Chomsky's native theory, so sorry. In his research, Chomsky revealed that children are born with an instinct or drive for language learning, which he calls the language acquisition device, or LAD. LAD. The language acquisition device is an area within the brain where language is already in place from birth. So Chomsky argues that even if a child is not educated in the second language that they're coming into, they will still be able to devise a verbal communication system due to the LAD mechanism in their brain. So, an activity that would correlate well with the natives theory is called language matching. In this activity, you would give students a list of nouns or verbs or predicates, your choice, but let's stick with nouns to keep it simple. You would give students a list of nouns in their native language, and they would have to match them with the English counterpart or the English equivalent. So if they were Spanish speakers, boy is niño. So where would boy be on your list of English words? And they would match them together. So this activity should be done on a computer with an application such as PlayPosit, or if you can input your recording of your voice on a Google Doc or a Google Slideshow. And this is important because if we want students to start hearing and auditorily hear a native speaker speak English, correlating with the Spanish words that they already know. And then by this, they are able to hear the correct pronunciation of the English word and be able to match that with the word that they already know from their native language. All right, so though this is my last slide of references, I do want to circle back. Okay, what I love about the activities that I discussed today is that you can implement this in your ELA block tomorrow. You can start with a whole group lesson in image inquiry and then after the entire group activity, you can start rotations and stations where a small group meets with you and does the sentence small group activity, while other students are working independently with the language matching on their devices. And therefore, as I mentioned at the start, you are hitting multiple theories of English acquisition or language acquisition to ensure your multi-language learners and all your learners are developing their new language in a way that works best for them and developing English in a way that works best for them. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.